This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
China will strengthen price controls on iron ore, copper, corn and other major commodities in its 14th five-year plan for 2021 to 2025 to address abnormal fluctuations in prices, the state planner said on Tuesday. The country will also step up monitoring and analysis of commodity prices such as crude oil, natural gas and soybean, the National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, said in a statement. Local governments should study and judge the import impact in depth, promptly make suggestions on matters such as reserves, import and export, fiscal and taxation, and financial adjustment measures, the statement said.
EU negotiators begin 2 days of talks on Tuesday on a plan designed to make the bloc's huge farming subsidies greener and fairer, although campaigners question its environmental impact. The Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, will spend €387 billion, $473 billion, around a third of the EU's 2021 to 2027 budget, on payments to farmers and support for rural development, with new rules kicking in from 2023. The revamp aims to align agriculture with the EU's target of zero net emissions by 2050, by tackling the 10% of EU greenhouse gases emitted by farming. We aim to close the deal this week, an EU official said of talks between negotiators from the European Parliament and the EU member states.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
US President Joe Biden will rely on ally countries to supply the bulk of the metals needed to build electric vehicles and focus on processing them domestically into battery parts, part of a strategy designed to placate environmentalists, two administration officials with direct knowledge told Reuters. The plans will be a blow to US miners who had hoped Biden would rely primarily on domestically sourced metals, as his campaign had signaled last autumn, to help fulfill his ambitions for a less carbon-intensive economy. Rather than focus on permitting more US mines, Biden's team is more focused on creating jobs that process minerals domestically into electric vehicle, EV, battery parts, according to the People.
Oil prices edged higher on Tuesday as rising demand from the approach of the Northern Hemisphere's summer driving season and lifting of coronavirus restrictions offset worries that Iran's possible return to the market will cause supplies to jump. After gaining over 5% in the prior two sessions, Brent futures rose 16 cents, or 0.2%, to $68.62 a barrel by 12:18 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 16:18 GMT. While U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude rose 19 cents, or 0.3%, to $66.24. That kept both benchmarks on track for their highest closes in a week. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. The London Metal Exchange, LME, will launch a lithium hydroxide and 3 scrap contracts this year, Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Chairman Laura Chai said at an online seminar on Tuesday. Last month, LME delayed the launch to July 19 of its 6 cash-settled contracts: European aluminium premiums, U.S. aluminium scrap, lithium hydroxide, European hot-rolled steel, steel scrap in India and steel scrap in Taiwan. The CME Group plans to expand its battery metals product offerings and expects to launch a lithium hydroxide futures contract on May 3, pending regulatory reviews.
Commodities markets are unlikely to experience a supercycle in the next few years, experts and audience polled at an online metals seminar on Tuesday said. We're not a huge believer in a supercycle now. You've started to see some central banks starting to taper bond buying, and if they are not tapering, they've started to talk about it, said Geordie Wilkes, head of research at Suckton Financial. We are also seeing emerging markets starting to increase some of their interest rates and really started to look at inflation and see how we can keep a cap on that after the rising asset prices we have seen, Wilkes added.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India is expected to produce a record 108.75 million tons of wheat this year, the Farm Ministry said in its third forecast for the crop year to June 2021, marginally lower than its previous estimate of 109.24 million tons. Rice output in the world's biggest exporter and the second largest producer is estimated at a record 121.46 million tons compared to a forecast of 120.32 million tons in February. The Farm Ministry forecast this year's total grains output to be at a record 305.44 million tons, up from its previous estimate of 297.5 million tons.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.